Our next session focuses on the vital role that peer-to-peer support plays in improving outcomes for clients with inherited sight loss. We'll hear directly from those who have benefited from these networks of support. If you have any questions throughout the session, and you're a remote attendee today, please do use the Q&A session. You can submit your questions at any time throughout the session. You don't need to wait till the end. Please give a warm welcome to our Retina UK volunteers and service users and Deputy Chief Executive Officer Paula McGrath. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren, for that introduction. I'm delighted to welcome you to this session, whether you're here with us in Manchester or watching from home. As you've heard this morning, lived experience is at the heart of everything we do at Retina UK, and today is no different, which is why I'm so delighted to be able to run this session. We've heard from Helen and Denise about the importance of being able to access both practical and emotional support at every stage of the eye care support pathway. From an initial appointment through to having a diagnosis, all the way through to living well with a condition. Denise has also mentioned some of the wide range of information support services available from Retina UK. And again, these are accessible at every point of the pathway. In our last Retina UK sight loss survey, 83% of people rated our services as excellent or good. However, sadly, under 50% of people told us that they had accessed informal meetings with others. Sadly, this means far too many people are still not accessing potential transformational services. For the next hour, I'm delighted that we're joined by 5 of our community. Can we give a quick round of applause? Because actually, this is quite scary being up here. Our panel members all live with inherited sight loss, and they've kindly agreed to share their experiences with us today so that we can learn from them. They're going to talk to us specifically about their experiences of accessing Retina UK services that always have peer-to-peer support at their very heart. Whether through our growing network of local peer support groups, our online special interest groups, Talk and Support Service or Discover Wellbeing, whether in a group, one-to-one, online, or face-to-face. We're going to hear how these welcoming, safe spaces and the connections that are made have the power to develop people's knowledge, skills, and confidence to help them take more control of their situation. We ensure no one need feel alone. Now, I know they have a wealth of experience to share with us, so I'd like to invite each of them to introduce themselves, and just to let you know, there'll be plenty of time for questions at the end, whether you're here in the room or online, so please do either raise your hand in the room or submit online, but as I say, we'll do that at the end of the session. So just to introduce yourselves, Steve, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your sight loss condition and how that affects you?
Okay. I was diagnosed back in 2001, but before that, I had been a retained fireman back in 1994. Then I started, I had to suddenly wear glasses full time. About a year after that, I started getting flashing lights in my eyes. And I went to my local eye clinic at the hospital. They were testing me. I was losing areas of peripheral vision. And that went on for about 5 years. The trouble was that I wasn't showing the normal signs for retinitis, i.e. the change in the colour of the pigment. So they then eventually sent me up to Moorfields, where I was diagnosed. Then on my next appointment to Guildford Hospital, I discovered some leaflets about what was then the British Retinitis Pigmentosa Society. I got in contact with them and then started attending their peer support group, which was a face-to-face one, in Woking. But unfortunately, after a few years, that had to close due to the sale of the hall that we used to meet in. So between then and the uprise of Zoom meetings, I was more or less completely in the dark, not meeting other people with the same condition. It's all very well speaking to your family, but they can never fully understand what it's like losing your sight. So then Mark Baxter, marvellous Mark, started the online peer support groups. He started with a national one, which I attended, and I've attended almost all of them. And I got talking to him after one of the meetings over Zoom about different bits that we'd made. I mean, he's made sort of doors and bits for his garden and all sorts. And I make dragons and that type of woodwork and all sorts. So I sent him some pictures of what I've made, and he suggested to me that I become a volunteer and help him with this peer support group.
Thank you. Can I pick up on the volunteering bit at the moment?
Sure.
Because I'd really like to go quite deep into that and understand a bit more about your volunteering, Steve.
Right.
Thank you. Can I ask, Rachel, would you like to just give you a brief introduction, and then I'll ask you some follow-up questions?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So I'm Rachel Zimbler. I have a rare genetic syndrome called Bardet-Biedl syndrome. Back in 1996, a bit like Bavany's story, I was diagnosed with RP, went to my local hospital at Stepping Hill in Stockport, was told I had RP, was going to go progressively blind, and there's the door. There was no support back in 1996. Fast forward, my previous marriage, we wanted children, so I got genetic testing. I had the genetic testing, and in 2012, I was re-diagnosed with Bardet-Biedl syndrome. The syndrome affects me in the fact that I have sight loss. In the last probably 7 years, my sight has deteriorated. I have type 2 diabetes. I have epilepsy, which, touch wood, I've not had a seizure now for 11 years due to medication. And I also have the missing link in my brain where it doesn't tell me I'm full. So I'm quite a big woman, but I have to monitor that with diet and exercise. They're sort of the main ways that BBS affects me.
Thank you, Rachel, for that. Perm, a little bit about your condition and your diagnosis.
Hello, everyone, and hello to everyone online. My name is Pam Pachu. I have a condition called retinal dystrophy. It's genetic. It was found through a routine eye examination, as my daughter at the time was saying, "Mum, I can't see the whiteboard." She came out half an hour later with glasses. I was still in there 2 hours later. I was rushed to A&E and went through horrific tests to be diagnosed. And just like Rachel to my right, I was told to get on with it, and off you go. And nobody told me how this was going to affect my life. The condition itself has progressed, even though I had no retinal changes. I just suffered with a bit of light glare. I carried on driving until my license was revoked when I was in my late 40s. And my journey has been horrific. I left a career a few years ago, which I totally loved. Lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. And then I wanted to Google any research for retinal dystrophy. And then, you shouldn't Google, but I did. And then came up Retina UK and the research that was being done. Picked up the phone and I got this lovely voice. He's here again, Mark Baxter. And an hour and a half later, I was laughing my head off. My stomach was killing me. And I was then approached in January 2022 to lead the West Midlands group, volunteer. And I'm going to be entering my 3rd year. It's my holistic career, but I also like to say champion national charities as well as the local charities which make a major part in the community that I work for and serve. That's me.
Thank you. James.
Hi, everyone. So I'm originally from Edinburgh, and I live in Maidenhead in Berkshire. And I run the peer support, facilitator of the peer support group there, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
So a little bit about my sight loss journey. I was aware of sight loss issues when I was a child, not because I had any issues then. My mum had extreme difficulties, As kids, we had to help navigate her, especially at night time. We thought that was a bit odd and a bit funny as children, as you might do. Roll forward, when I was 20 years old, I had the same night vision issues as what my mum had. Brother and sister were fine, but I thought, yeah, it's me that's got this. Roll forward another 20 years, I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa at Susan Downs Laboratory in Oxford. Did genetic testing, they found the gene, and 4 years ago I was told that I am legally blind. I still do have some central vision, so I'm still able to get about. I still have a job as well, and I run a cancer research lab in London. So.
Thank you, James. And Michelle, you've sat there very patiently. It's your turn.
So I'm Michelle Tomlinson. I was actually diagnosed at the age of 8 years old. I have a rare form of RP called LCA, which is Lebus congenital amaurosis. It was a bit of a funny one for me because when I was 2 years old, I had measles and I lost a massive amount of vision all at once. So at the time, they thought it might be the measles that's caused my vision loss. And then over the years, when at the age of 8, a doctor said it's RP. But my parents sort of lived in denial for many years, thinking it was the measles that had caused the vision. But I had all the signs of RP, like loss of peripheral vision. I used to bump into everything at the sides. Really bad, like night blindness, glare from lighting. So it was all the RP symptoms, but my parents just didn't really want to think it was RP, I think because it was inherited. But then when I had my son 14 years ago, I started to get worried about genetics because I think I always believed it was RP myself. And so at that point, I started looking at RP and, going for genetic counselling and stuff. And then I actually saw Professor Black, who I think is here tomorrow, isn't he? Which is exciting. Yeah. And he said he's 99.9% sure that it's definitely RP and it wasn't the measles. It was just a really strange, confusing thing for me. But like the others, I had the terrible diagnosis where it was just, you're going to go blind and that's that. And I didn't get referred to any services. And obviously we'll talk about that in a bit, won't we? Yeah. But obviously I found Retina UK and that's kind of my story. I'm still working at the civil service. I use sort of speech technology. I have a lot of support. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. I'll stay with you actually, Michelle. I wonder if you could tell us a bit about that first contact with Retina UK, when that came and what brought that about. Yeah,
so obviously, like I said, when I had my son 14 years ago, I started really feeling quite worried that could he have RP because it's inherited. So my dad sort of started Googling things and he sort of found Retina UK. I was very reluctant at the time to get involved with any sight loss charities because I'd been to my local blind society and I'd been to one of their meetings and it was a lot of elderly ladies sitting around doing chair yoga and things, and it was I felt very, very isolated and like I didn't belong because they'd all had vision for their whole life, but they'd started losing it, say, when they were 80 because of macula. I think it's macular degeneration. Yeah. So it's more of an elderly, so I couldn't relate to anybody. I was looking for other young mums who obviously were struggling. Obviously, I just couldn't relate to them because they'd all had their children with sight, they'd all driven, they'd all had jobs. And so for me, I came out of there, burst into tears, and I said, there's no one for me, there's no help, everyone's old, I'm the only young person. I was in my 20s at the time when I had my son. My dad found Retina, it was RP Fighting Blindness at the time. My dad was like, oh, you should go to the one of the conferences. And I was like, no, it'll be the same. I'm not going, Dad. And anyway, I did go. and I met loads of lovely people. You know, it sort of opened, well, excuse the pun, but it opened my eyes to, like, there is help out there. From there, I found there was a helpline. I rang the helpline, and lo and behold, the person who answered was another mum like me who had really severe sight loss at a young age. She'd had 2 daughters, and we were able to sort of share like stories of how horrendous it is trying to change a nappy, get your kids to school, you know, all of those things that everybody else just sort of does easily. It was amazing. It, again, burst into tears because I was so happy to find, obviously, that, you know, there is other young people like myself. And yeah, it isn't, obviously, there is a stigma with sight loss, that it is elderly people, but the beauty of Retina UK is there's everyone's, I mean, you can see on the stage, we're all working age, you know, we all live really full lives. It's not all elderly people losing the vision. You know, we all still want to live life to the full. Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle, so much. Rachel, what was your first introduction to Retina UK?
So my first introduction to Retina UK was I used to go to the RAG weekends in Blackpool. I met Steve Goulden, Carol Holmes and Beryl Duggan. I'd started work, and at the time Steve worked for within the job service, and I got in touch with him. He then helped me, told me again it was RP Fighting Blindness then. I got the support that I needed through Access to Work, because it was my first paid job that I had in 2002, working for the local council. I then dipped in and dipped out, really. Went to the RAG weekends in Blackpool, and from then I didn't really need Retina UK or RP Fighting Blindness, as they were called then. I went off, and I was 21. I went off and lived my life, because at that point in my life, the only issues for me was night blindness. I could still see quite a lot. I was only registered, you know, I wasn't registered totally blind at the time. I was only registered partially sighted. So I didn't really need the support of any services. So I went off and lived my life. It wasn't until 2017 when, unfortunately, the service I was involved in at Stockport Council, they restructured. So after 16 years and a battle, and I mean a battle with trade union reps, being told I was too young to take early retirement with early health retirement. I was told I was too young by the trade union reps and I wouldn't get early health retirement. I had a document that I'd kept from the hospital showing that my sight had deteriorated and that the job I was doing was not any good for me anymore. And I won my battle, and on the 21st of July 2017, I left work on ill health grounds at the age of 36, and it was massive. But I still, at the time, didn't really want to be involved with services. It's through meeting others, you know, back at RP Information Days, Retina Information Days, that I've found other people that are living the same as me, and I've now got involved and I've had support, so I now give the support back by volunteering.
Thank you, Rachel. And that sort of picks up on something that we heard about this morning, the points of impact for people with inherited sight loss, that actually they may not need support straight away, it may come later. You know, there is that point of impact, something changes, and we want people to know about us, so when they're ready and the time's right for them, they can come to us and we'll be there. I think, James, your story is slightly different around finding us.
I got some leaflets from Professor Downs's clinic, and I was aware of RP Fighting Blindness. But also during COVID, I was at Maidenhead Station heading into London, and I saw this lady with a white cane, and I was a bit reluctant to go over and introduce myself, especially because of COVID.
Yeah.
And she got on a train, she disappeared, and I thought there must be a lot of people in the community that are actually quite isolated. And I thought, right, I'm going to write to Retina UK. Are there any local groups, etc.? And purely by chance, they said there's a guy called Mark Baxter. He's going to roll out this scheme nationally. And that's exactly what happened. They invited me to be the facilitator for the Berkshire area.
He's good at recruitment, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Actually, Mark is in the room with us. So I think before we finish, Mark, I'll perhaps get you come down to the front and give everybody a wave. Thank you. And I think, Steve, you've told us you also were given a leaflet and
yes, I was given a leaflet at Guildford Hospital, which led me on to joining the Woking peer support group.
Yes.
But obviously when that closed, then I didn't really have any contact with Retina UK. It wasn't until they started doing the online peer support groups that I got re-involved with it.
Yeah.
And
and here we are today.
Here we are, yeah. I'm a volunteer and I'm here.
You are.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to outline the groups that people are involved in. So, Perm, you look after our West Midlands peer support group, and sterling work you're doing there. We'll talk about that a little more in a moment. Steve, you're involved with peer support, but also the men's group, I think.
That's
so
right, yes.
we'll have a chat about that. That's one of the many services that we offer. James, you're in Berkshire, aren't you, with local peer support there? And I think you're also involved in the men's online group. God, Mark, you're doing some great recruitment. Michelle, you're involved with wellbeing, aren't you? And a talk and support volunteer. And Rachel, you are involved, you wear many, many hats for Retina UK and for other sight loss organisations, but specifically the Manchester Peer Support Group. I was expecting a bit of a roar there, but actually, maybe tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. I'll pause at that point tomorrow and they can all do their Manchester bit and talk and support specifically for us.
And the Track and Travel Peer Support Group.
And
as well.
There's another one, travel as well. I'm really keen just that we have a bit of a conversation around what difference these services make for you, both from a practical and an emotional perspective. James, I want to come to you first. What do the groups mean for you?
I think what they mean to me is the same as what they mean to others, you know, within the group. 1 in 4,000 people have got RP. Not many people know 4,000 people. So the chances of someone with RP knowing someone else with RP is like almost none. And the fact that we can come together in these groups, we can talk about symptoms. There's people that have attended my group and they've said, I have never heard anyone else with those symptoms before. This is such a relief. So it's so important to do that. And that brings in people's mental well-being, you know, purely because they feel isolated, and that removes a lot of that isolation. It's important.
Thank you. Perm, tell us about your experience of being involved with the group.
To be honest with you, I call it the holistic career, which I'm very passionate about. And I have many hats. I do work for a local sight loss charity, and I always champion the work that Retina UK are doing. I recently did a talk at one of the university, and I was actually at the launch of the eye care pathway, which I have to say is really important. But I had 2 live testimonials, and they stood up and said, it's not just about Perm being the glue that's holding the group together. It's their mental, emotional, and physical health that it's helped. It's not just going to the venues, because we pick local gardens, museums, which I'm very passionate about. It's looking at the accessibility from start to finish. It's getting your foot out the front door, even getting out of that duvet. They say, looks at how we get from A to B, transportation, how much it's going to cost, will there be anything to drink nearby? But the thing is getting them out and actually mingling with other people with retinal diseases. And it's not just for the individual, or us as a lived panel, but it's for the families as well. And the amount of emotion that is shown and the togetherness makes me feel that my job is still being done, but I also like to break down the barriers with the community as well. Being second generation Asian, there's still that stigma of disability. Still being looked at odd and differently. Oh, what happened to her? She's perfectly all right a few years ago. And it's breaking down those barriers and getting the older generation to understand that why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm not going to stop. I've actually done more being visually impaired than I did when I was fully sighted. And that's thanks to Retina UK and Mark, again. If it wasn't for him, approaching me and saying, but I was looking at the, because I've actually got ushers, so this could affect my hearing, but at the moment it isn't, but I also suffer with Charles Bonnet. So it's not just the disease itself, it's the other things that come with it. And I am an avid champion because the eye care pathway actually shows that genetic testing is important. And my parents are both carriers. My mum is actually here today, big it up for Surinder on the right-hand side. But I have to say that they don't see what I get up to. They're saying, well, what's she up to now? But it's actually bringing communities together and actually being here to say, you can do it. Do not let any barrier, oh, maybe you might trip over your cane, but that's a different story. But having said that, I am a testament to say, be strong, be bold, and don't let anyone stop you. Retina UK, just like other charities, are here to help. Just pick up the phone, talk to us. We are here. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Steve, you mentioned the online support group, the men's group. Tell us a little bit about how you find those meetings.
Yes, well, as I say, I started attending them when Mark, again, started the national one.
Bullied you into it.
Yeah. Then he started a tech one, and he started like a lads peer support group where we get together, and he sort of treats it like sort of as if you're in a pub.
Yeah.
And it's just lads talking about different things, and we have a right laugh about what's going on. And so, yeah, he got me to become a volunteer, and I'm helping with a room that he's started called the Tool Shed, which is looking at ways of someone with a visual impairment making things, using power tools, finding out if there are any talking sort of tools that we could use, that type of thing. I mean, we've only done that session once because the last one that we were supposed to do, everybody was on holiday, so we haven't done any more. But he's going to be starting another one as well, which is, what is it called? Home and Garden, that's it. Thank you, Mark.
There's a voice from the back of the room.
Yeah, which is, it's been on the cards for a while, so hopefully that will get going soon as well. But yeah, it brings you together, and it boosts your morale very much, yeah.
And I think quite often what I hear is that with the support, it's about what you can do.
It is,
and not what you can't do. It's just speaking to other people that have somehow found a way.
Yes.
And you don't know what you don't know, do you? So if you can share hints and tips with others, then that's fantastic.
It's finding ways around all of these problems.
Yes, yeah.
Even like sort of drilling a hole in a wall straight, you know. I mean, the greatest thing you can have is a fully sighted assistant to help you.
Yes.
But that shouldn't take away from your pleasure of actually achieving that goal, you know, of making something.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And Michelle, a little bit about what the services mean for you, and maybe touch on Discover Wellbeing.
Yeah, so Denise spoke about the Discover Wellbeing earlier. I am actually a Discover Wellbeing volunteer, and what that means is that if somebody wants to go through one of the what do you call them? The pathways?
Yeah, the modules.
Yeah, the modules. So if somebody wants to go through one of the modules, but they want like support to go through it, then there's volunteers, including myself, that can actually go through each module with somebody. So there's so when you watch the video, there's little like homework, sort of like things to do afterwards. And it's all about like well-being stuff and mental health, how you can feel better, basically, through all the challenges. And I have helped one lady up to now through the modules, and it was really successful. I sort of took her through each of the modules and the little pieces afterwards. So that is also, if you have anyone that is talking to you about the wellbeing, Discover Wellbeing, if you want to refer them, always remind them that they can be supported on that journey. They don't have to just do it online on their own. Somebody can take them through it, and it also gives that extra layer of support from somebody who has been through all the different, like, there's obviously the points of impact, you know, the end sort of journey. I've lived through all of the stages, obviously since being really young, so I find that obviously not just doing it on your own is I think it can help. So there's that option as well. And I also do talk and support, which is basically, it's a bit more like a friendship. It's less formal than, say, the helpline. So I will ring somebody up, like on a weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis, and just touch base with them. And it gives them the opportunity to talk about practical things. It doesn't even have to be necessarily just all about eyes and vision loss, because some people are quite isolated. Obviously, they have the peer support, but some people live in quite an isolated area. Like I have one lady who lives really, really high up in Scotland, and she doesn't live near any of the services as such, so face-to-face for her would be impossible. So I talk to her on a weekly basis. We have a really good laugh. You know, we've really, it's Mark again that matches people up. So I think he thinks about who you would sort of gel with, similar interests. So, you know, she's absolutely brilliant. And I just feel that it helps us both, but it just makes her feel a little bit less isolated because she can't attend any of the other things. So that's the brilliant thing about talk and support. You know, it doesn't have to be just face to face. Yeah, so that's what I do really.
Thank you. Pam, did you want to add something?
Yes, I want to say, I mean, I came to Retina UK in lockdown, so I was feeling isolation anyway, because obviously we were all in social bubbles. So 2021, we were still in lockdown. The online platforms was actually a lifeline for me.
Yeah.
And it helped introduce people to technology. Some people would say to me, well, we don't know how to do it. And I said, well, neither do I, let's do it together. But the most important thing is connecting the community on a national level. I mean, I wouldn't have thought to be speaking to maybe to either James or Rachel or anywhere on the country, you know. So online is good, but we also need to have the financial means to access the internet. A lot of people can't due to financial constraints, and that's given me confidence to attend and support colleagues across the country with their groups as well.
Thank you, Pam. And Rachel, tell us a bit about your Manchester group and what you guys get up to and the difference that makes for you and for the group members.
So the Manchester group was set up originally during COVID, but it got stopped. So then September 2021, it got re-established. So in October 2021, we had our first Manchester group. We did it online, and we run quite a few of them online because people didn't really want to come out together because of COVID, but they wanted to come together to speak to others living with inherited retinal conditions. So what I would do is I would organise a speaker. So we've had Dr. Panos, I know he's coming tomorrow to speak from the eye hospital. We've had Henshaws, we've had rehab officers, we've had Paralympians such as Libby Clegg, Laura Fahy, we've had Charles Bonnet syndrome. Yeah, that's just to name a few. And we started our first face-to-face in 2022. And we try and now alternate, so we do some online and some in person. The online one is great because it means we have people on it from as far as up as like Scotland and down south. But the group that meets in person, we probably get about 15 regular attendees, which I know quite a few are coming tomorrow. And we have it in the upstairs of a pub. We have a speaker, and then we have a social, because what people want to do is they want to talk. They don't just want to talk about sight loss. They want to be able to talk and chat about what's your life, what do you like doing, what are your hobbies, what are your interests, and how, as someone like me who is quite confident and outgoing, how do I do it? And if I can do it, then it's shown that they can do it. And I suppose a good way of saying it is, we have a lady that came to our group, and she's now seen that we run a Manchester one. She has now set up one over in another area in the country. So for me, that gives me a massive buzz. You know, my mental health since leaving work did suffer a bit, But by doing volunteering, it gives me something. It gives me something to do. It gives me a purpose. And I'm supporting others that are going through the journey, whether it be the start, the middle, or the end of their journey. They're there. We have a WhatsApp group for our Manchester group. Quite a lot of people know me across Manchester and beyond, so that some people will just contact me privately. And then from that, I've started doing talk and support. A bit like Michelle said, it's, you know, I speak to a gentleman once a month. We have a rapport. We don't really talk about sight loss, to be honest. We talk about football. We talk about sport, holidays, whatever we've been doing, we talk about it because, yes, I might be sight impaired. Yes, I might be registered blind. But at the end of the day, I'm still Rachel. I'm Rachel who is living, and those that know me, they know I live life to the very, very full. You know, since leaving work, I'm probably busier now not working and volunteering than I've ever been in my life. And then the Talking Travel group, yes, Mark, that's one of yours as well. He wrote me in. We run, myself and Richard, who sadly isn't here today because he's poorly. Me and Rich run the group together. And it's about telling people that you can travel, being sight impaired, visually impaired, blind, you can travel, and how you can travel and what you can do to travel. You know, something that will stick in my memory through all the Paralympians that we've had on our talks is it's about the ability you have in life, not your disability. Yes, I have a disability, but I have ability and I have life in my body, and while I'm still living and breathing, I will carry on and do what I can.
Thank you, Rachel. You touched there on, we've discussed sort of Retina UK and the fact that we've got more working age people that we're in touch with, and that's important that you want to spend time with people of a similar age. We are reaching out to more and more young people as well, because we know that that support is very much needed. Rachel, how is it when you have somebody come to a group whose sight loss may be early stages, spending time with people who may no longer have any vision? Can you just talk to me a little bit about that? Is that difficult?
Yeah, I'd probably say, give example, we've had one where we had someone come to our group and they still had quite a bit of vision, but they were losing their vision. And in our group, we have people who have no sight whatsoever and have had no sight whatsoever for years. But some of them also have had no sight for a little period. And I think the view that I got from it is that having all age ranges, so my group runs from, I think the youngest person I've got is in their early 20s, up to, we've had people in their 80s come to the group. And we've all got life experience in many different ways. And we use those life experiences to show each other that, yes, it is scary. Yes, it is daunting. You know, give example, I have BBS. My husband also has BBS. My husband has no sight. I still have a bit of sight. I could wake up tomorrow and have no sight, but I can't think that in my head. So I use that to support others and to show others that we're all in it together. There's so much support out there now. You know, when I was diagnosed originally with RP in 1996, there was nothing. When I was re-diagnosed in 2012, there was so much more out there. There's so much support, and I think what I found from volunteering with Retina UK is it's a family. If I don't know the information, I've got so many different people that I can contact for help and support. And, you know, as professionals in the room, that's I suppose the message. You've got the power and the information with the clients and the customers that you work with. But if you don't know the information, Retina UK are here at the end of the phone, at the end of the email. People like, you know, the panel here, we're all living it. So, you know, if you need help, need support, Retina UK are there to help you.
Thank you, Rachel. And I think you sort of pick up there on the difference with a progressive condition compared to some other sight loss conditions, all the things that go with that with regards to what will I be able to do tomorrow, what's going to happen when. The emotional impacts of that are huge, aren't they? And to be able to talk to other people, as you say, be with other people that are further on their journey, yet they're well adjusted and they're achieving great things. I can understand how that must be really encouraging and confidence building.
Yeah, and I think sort of moving forward, you know, I went to an RP Information Day in Birmingham back in 2014, and it was not long after I'd split from my ex-husband. I didn't know anyone in the world of visual impairment. I met people there that actually had BBS, and that's how I've got involved with BBS as well, with Bardet-Biedl syndrome, and then linked it in that way. So I now have people that have the same condition as me, as well as the Retina UK, that these other conditions that inherited wise.
And I mean, that's how we work with other organisations, isn't it? We work with other smaller organisations, we'll signpost to them for very detailed condition-specific information. Equally, we work with other larger charities within the collaboration in the sector. So we're constantly looking outwards about where that support can be and when we're best placed to deliver it as Retina UK, and actually when it's better for somebody else to be delivering that support, because we must work well together in the sector. Thank you, Rachel. Before we finish and go to questions, I'd just like to invite each of you to share a personal message with the professionals in the room today. If there was one thing you want to tell them or for them to take away, what that might be. James, can I come to you first?
I'll just reiterate what I said before, that, you know, the rarity of the condition and the fact that you've got almost no chance as a patient meeting someone else with the same condition. And if you make the people know that Retina UK exists, they've got the chance to introduce people to the peer support and give that extra layer of support in the community. I think it's incredibly valuable. So I would say, please make sure you give those leaflets, give that information, and empower the patients.
Thank you. Michelle?
I would just say that please just refer if you think, you know, that we can help. We want to help, we enjoy helping. I feel like if I can help just one person through their struggles and challenges, then it's worth all my lifetime of struggling and challenges. And because I really don't want people to have to go through like what I've been through for all them years with nothing and no one and no support. So please just save people from being alone and refer them, because we're all here to help, and we want to help. That's why we do it, that's why we volunteer.
Thank you, Michelle. I know when we spoke before, you told me that you felt that the support pathway for you was probably more important than the clinical pathway.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why? Why is that more important?
Because I think the clinical side of things for me, once you get that diagnosis of, right, there's nothing we can do for you, you're kind of out of that then, like, sort of appointments don't get rebooked, you don't really see doctors anymore. So you've got this condition that is in a sense like an illness or you know, it's a condition, but there's no doctor involvement, so you kind of like in a bit of a limbo, like there's nothing anyone can do, but you've got this condition. So to then have that did you call it emotional? That to have
practical
that,
and emotional.
Yeah, the practical and emotional support, it fills that gap, and it just means that you're not sort of without anything. I feel like it's not just, so when you're diagnosed, it's not just about losing your vision. You lose, like, it does affect your mental health as well. Like, I do feel that losing your vision, you sort of lose your identity, you have a loss of future, you don't know what you're going to be able to do, all of those things. So having that support from peers, it gives you a boost, like your mental health is boosted as well. So for me, that's more important, because at the moment, until there's hopefully something they can do for us maybe in the future, maybe there won't be, but there's always going to be that emotional and peer support, even if there's nothing that can be done for our eyes. To bring that back, we can at least live as full as possible with like that emotional support and practical support that you're going to get from Retina UK, and that's why obviously I think, you know, it's more important.
Thank you, Michelle. Pam, any final words from you for those in the room today?
I do. I think I know quite a few of our professionals here today. Can we have open dialogue, please? And can we actually promote not just the national charities, but the local charities? I work for one, I procured employment, and I'm always teaming up everything. But we need open dialogue from the consultants, ophthalmologists, to the registrars, to the low vision specialists, to our opticians, and not to mention, you know, I'd like to say, I know we've mentioned Mark a lot, but can we mention Caroline as well? Without her valued support as well, when she's on online meetings, and my support workers as well, is just say, keep dialogue open, and please remember those silent supporters in the background. Without them, they enable us to do our jobs as well and live life to the fullest. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve, anything you'd like to add?
Only that information is empowering. So the more information that these clinicians can give us, the better. I mean, I for one have got all of my field of vision tests right from when I first started losing my peripheral vision. And it helps me understand what's going on. And it also helps me to explain to other people what is happening. So yes, and also I've had a macular edema just lately. And when I go to the different appointments, it's good for me and whoever's coming with me to be able to have a look at the screen and see how it's changed since the last time. It's empowering. And also I was told that my macula is thinning, and that's part of the process of RP. Well, I only learnt that this year, and it's the first time I've ever heard of it. So the more information that they can give, the better, I think.
Knowledge is power.
It is indeed.
And enables us to make informed choices as well. The more informed you are, you can make the right choices for you and your family. And of course, everybody's different. What's right for one person isn't for somebody else. So the more information you've got at your fingertips, the more informed choices you can make to live your best life, can't you?
Yeah.
Rachel, anything to add before we go to questions?
I'd just say again, you know, knowledge is power. You've got a lot of organisations that are all trying to do the same thing, you know, in the sight loss sector. We're all there to support each other. You're all trying to do the same thing. And I would say just share your information. You know, Retina UK are there. Pick up the phone, drop an email. No question is a daft one. You know, so yeah, that's sort of my views for the professionals.
Thank you. And we are here to support professionals, just as we're here to support community members. So certainly pick up the helpline, get in touch with the team. Look at the website. We've got a whole range of information on there for professionals. As Denise mentioned this morning, that's just been enhanced. If there are gaps, let us know, but use that information. I'd like to go to questions, actually, if we've got some. I've got a hand at the back of the room. That suggests we've got a question from home or office.
Yep, so we've got 3 similar questions. So one says, as a QTVI who supports children and young people, would the support groups be suitable for the parents or for the children? If it's not suitable for them, what would you recommend for them? Slightly similar one. Hello, this all sounds great. Thank you for all your hard work. I understand it's peer support, so you have similar conditions, but I'm wondering what groups there are for parents who have children who have been diagnosed with the conditions but don't have it themselves. Are these groups something they could attend to, or is it something separate we could signpost parents to? And the third one, along the same vein, these testimonies are really valuable. I'm a QTVI and CYP really needs this kind of peer support, which I cannot give as I haven't been through it. The impact on mental health is huge and services are few and far between.
Thank you, Matt. I think I got the gist of those questions. So as far as support for parents is concerned, we're just kicking off a really big project at Retina UK because we recognise that parents do need more support from us. Parents need to be able to speak with other parents. They need to be able to speak to our team to understand what the future holds for their children. We don't want people to lose their hopes and dreams for the future for their children. They don't need to, but parents need support. So yeah, watch this space. We already offer support for parents, certainly through Talk and Support Service. So if you've got a client you think would benefit from the Talk and Support Service, let us know. Most important thing is signpost to us, get in touch. If it's not us, we will signpost to the relevant organisations. So I think that's really important to to stress. We constantly sign out to other organisations. We don't deliver direct services for children. That's not where our expertise is. We support the parents, and we help the parents understand where the support is directly for their children, what they're entitled to, and what the future can hold. Does anybody from the panel want to add to that? I'm not sure. No? Is there anything you want to add, Michelle? Or?
I would just say that I agree with the people who've asked the question that I think for my parents could have maybe used some support when I was little, because obviously I was diagnosed as a really young child. And I think they've lived with like quite a lot of guilt over the years, because it is inherited. And I think if they sort of maybe had the opportunity to, you know, to meet other parents, it would help. So it's good that there's things come in. And like you say, you can signpost, can't you, to...
Absolutely, yeah.
Stuff, yeah.
You know, well-adjusted parents lead to well-adjusted children. If the parents are anxious and stressed, you know, you guys in the room know this, if the parents are anxious and stressed, then the chances are that's going to have an impact on the child. So that support is really important. So we're already offering it. Please refer in, but lots more to come in that area. We've got a question in the room. Yeah. There's a microphone coming.
Thank you, and thank you to the panel for sharing those experiences, which are really helpful to hear about. My name is Chloe, and I'm the founder of a charity called Usher Kids UK. If anyone can't see me, I'm in a really bright yellow T-shirt with Usher Kids UK on the front and back. So we exist to empower children and young people and families living with Usher syndrome. And I'm the parent of a teenager with Usher syndrome. So just picking up on that point about the role of peer support for parents, absolutely. They're experiencing this perhaps in a very different way than the young person or the individual living with the condition, and those needs are distinct, and we see a huge role to play for peer support. What I want to ask the panel and comment upon is that parents are often the ones at the coalface, and also you've been at the coalface for a long time, and perhaps in those most difficult periods, you yourself weren't in a position to offer the peer support that you now do. So I wonder what you think for those really challenging periods when it's great to have peer support available, but that places a burden back on the very people who are living with that challenge. What other supports do you think should be in place in addition to peer support to wrap the right level of care around those people that we know are facing a great amount of challenge within their daily lives?
Can I,
yes, please
can I come to that?
Yeah.
I was actually diagnosed in my mid-30s, and I had a young 16-year-old at the time who just had short-sightedness. And it was to give her the option as a parent, because I've got obviously Usher's, which is Usher's 2A, and there is no cure, which was later diagnosed only 2 years ago. But I think at that time she was informed enough not to want genetic testing. She said to me, "Mum, I don't want to have it." She said, I'd rather live with the condition. She has gone on to be a very mature young lady now, or married lady, I should say, but she still has her eyes checked regularly on the back of what I went through. But the one thing she did say to me, how scared she was as to finding out whether or not she had the same condition as me, because it's come down in the female line as well. So I think for myself as a parent is to let them have the informed choice. If the support is there, I would grab it with both hands, because as a parent or even as an individual going through a diagnosis, a change with your condition, is knowing that the support is there. And it's scary, but again, at the end of the day, it's joining all the maps, all the sources, all the resources, locally and nationally, which is really, really important. Like Rachel said to me to my right, we're all supporting each other with sight loss, but we have to look at the other conditions that come with retinal disease as well, which sometimes gets overlooked, I think. That's my personal opinion. Thanks.
Thank you, Pam. We've got more questions. Okay, Judy, are you going to a question at the back? And then Steve Golden, who got a mention earlier, is actually in the room with us today as well. So, hi, Steve. Good to see you.
Hi, I'm Liam. I'm a QTBI, so just a question for the panel, please. I've two boys who I work with who've both got RP. One boy I've known for a couple of years and one boy who's been recently diagnosed. And they're both in the same school. Do you think it'd be beneficial for me? They don't know about each other, they don't know each other. Do you think it'd be beneficial for them to meet each other? So that was my question, please.
I don't know about the panel, but I'm struggling a little bit with the sound sitting up here.
Yeah, I think
it's hard to hear.
I think he said he's got 2 boys that he works with, and would it be beneficial for them to meet? Is that what the question? Yeah. So.
Okay.
And do they both have the same condition?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
I think it'd be a crying shame not for them to meet, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess that needs to be facilitated through the school, and we need to consider GDPR and everything that goes with that. Excuse me. But, I mean, we've heard today, haven't we, about the benefit of peer support. There's nothing to suggest that that age has any boundaries there. So whether you're a young person or an older person, it shouldn't make any difference. So I'd strongly encourage you to be having that conversation with the school.
Yeah, can I just add to that?
Please do, yes.
I would say that definitely it would be great for them to meet, but I would also say that sometimes just because 2 people have sight loss, it doesn't always mean that they're going to like click as such.
Yes.
You've got to have that extra like thing, you know, you've got to have something that you might enjoy doing, or, you know, something else to gel, like sort of thing. So it would be fantastic if they had that extra thing. But I think just for them to meet and see how it goes would definitely be good if they were both up for it. Obviously, they've got to be up for it, haven't they, I guess?
Yeah.
Can I come
Yes,
to...
do, Pam.
I think it depends on where they are in their journey and their age, but also their interests. So just because, you know, we're all on the panel here, we're all different, look at them as individuals, talk to their teachers, talk to their SEN teachers if they have one. But the thing is, they might not like each other. I mean, I'm sitting next to James. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying that as an individual.
What are you trying to say here?
Sorry, guys. Sorry, James. That's no. But you know, it's not to stereotype them either. They are individuals. Please do not forget their identities, because sometimes, and also, it depends on their level of vision as well. So it's a very individual choice, and I would say, ask them. They might go, on to, you know.
Yeah. Or they might both love football or something.
Yeah,
They might be on opposite sides of the team, so you'll have a World War III then, anyway.
Thank you. Any more questions? We've got one down the front here. We've got another, Okay.
Oh, hi, my name's Razia. I lead the Low Vision Service at Lancashire Teaching Hospitals. One part of our responsibilities is certifying people in a timely manner. I'd be interested to know what your journey was about being certified, if it was in a timely manner, and how we can advocate that we certify people sooner rather than later, especially with progressive eye diseases.
Hold on.
Yeah, do.
I think it's also, people are very scared. Some people want the certificate of visual impairment because it opens more doors for the pathways and for support. Some people are absolutely petrified. So it's explaining them into layman's terms what sight impaired means, SSI, and it's actually not talking the jargon, but talking them to as individuals. Because when I was certified a long time ago, I had no idea what it meant. It was like a whole new language. And I was scared. I was given this certificate, which was basically another label. I had many labels in my life, and then I had another one. But it's to be sympathetic, understanding, and kind, and lots of compassion, and let people digest the information. What that actual document means. And can I suggest, if CVIs are in, can we reduce them from 8 pages to 3, maybe? Because they're quite a big document to carry, especially in your back pocket. But that's what I would say, that's my personal experience. I was actually quite scared. Yeah.
Thank you, Pam. Are we allowed to take one more, Matt, please? Yeah. Judy, could you go to Steve? And actually, while you're with Steve, Mark, would you like to just come down to the front so people know who you are?
Yay.
And then they can say... And
Caroline. Yes, absolutely.
I know, I was making that assumption.
Without Caroline, Mark does not function.
People can meet you at lunchtime. And Judy, have we got a mic to Steve, for Steve to ask his question, please, just behind you? Thanks.
Thank you.
No, we'll take Steve's question, Mark, and then we'll, thank you.
Okay, can you hear me all right? Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Steve Golden, a Retina UK volunteer. Listening to both, well, because I know them both, Rachel and Michelle, has made me so very proud after seeing them on their, the start of their volunteering journey, to see them or listen to them today, so it makes me very proud. They now have moved on, I think, and now are using their experiences in their sight loss journey to help other people, which is amazing. So thank you both. Thank you all.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, we met Steve like many years ago. Like,
Yeah. So I'm just going to, oh no, we've given Mark a mic.
Oh, no.
Very briefly, just to say hello to everybody, and then you can perhaps go and find Mark over lunch. Just stand up. Yeah.
Well, hello everybody. If you're not aware, my name's Mark, by the way. I'm just going to say hello, and I couldn't do what I do without the support of the team, our amazing volunteers, not just the ones up on the stage today, but all of our volunteers across the board. Also Caroline, who has been my rock for nearly, 23 years in December, and she's not only my wife, my best friend, but she's also my support worker, and she has given me the independence and the support I need to then bring that to our community. I'm living with RP myself and have been for 33 years. I was diagnosed back in 1990 when there was no internet, there was no Google, it was just all fax, post, and I didn't meet, apart from my younger brother who also has RP, someone else with the condition until I was 28, and that was through a fundraising event to the Sahara Desert back in 2009, where I got to meet other people just like me, same challenges, same frustrations, and it's just helped me go on and do what I'm doing today. So if it wasn't for my sight loss, I wouldn't be standing in front of all of you today saying, please refer to our support services so we can make people the best that they can be. Thank you very much, everybody.
It's now time to break for lunch. As I said earlier in the day, the food is, for those of you that are in Manchester, the food can be found in the exhibition space, and there are Pendulum venue staff are there to hand out your lunch. If you have dietary requirements and you stated as you would when you registered with us, just let them know and they will give you the correct allocated lunch. And I will see you back here at 1:30. Thank you.